Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast here on One World Sports Radio. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Dale Lace here with me, and we're going to be discussing. We're going to have a conversation with a South African Test cricketer, and so that's going to be really awesome. Tim, you obviously let the people know on social media who we're going to have, but I think I'll give you the honors to introduce our guest. You are the MVP of our show, Tim, by the way. You are always ready to get us some really, really awesome guests. So thank you very much for that. Just before we do that, remember, please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tweet us at One World Sports Radio. If you are also watch the Cheap Seats, which is our football show, we announced the winner of the competition. So go watch Cheap Seats, and we've got the FPL show coming up tomorrow to find out who's won. We've also obviously got a discount code if you want to go to Classic Shirts ZA. And yeah, if anybody wants to sponsor this show, please do so. You can reach either Tim or myself on the social media platforms. But Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, can't complain. All good.
Okay. The stage is yours, Tim. You do the introduction.
I thought it was a good opportunity to get somebody in from the recently completed SAA series. And with the fact that we're talking a lot about spin bowlers in South Africa in particular, I thought we would go back to somebody who has played Test cricket and actually played Test cricket against the country we're going to be playing next month. So give us a backdrop, a viewpoint of playing them when we did play them in 2019. Very much established first-class cricketer now, and pretty much in the sort of prime of his career as a spin bowler. So we got Senuran Muthusamy.
Yes, Senuran Muthusamy, who is a former Protea, or is a Protea, not a former Protea, is a Protea because you are currently playing, you haven't retired. And you also play for my... So when the franchise system happened, they split out the lines, and so the Northwest is like my second team. So thank you very much for joining us. I have a soft spot for the Northwest team because obviously some of the Lions players were there, and when they signed you, I was like, come on, let's get it. But yeah, so really excited. We're really excited to have you on. Thank you for for spending time with us to allow us to just ask you some questions.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on the show, Mpho and Tim. Thanks for inviting me, guys. I look forward to our chat. And yeah, it sounds exciting. I mean, there's a lot of cricket ahead, and awesome summer ahead of cricket still. And yeah, it's been awesome so far.
Sure. Yeah, so normally the first question we ask off the bat to all our guests is how they got into cricket. When did you start getting into the game? How did you get into the game? And just take us through that journey throughout your teens and your childhood as to what drew you to cricket.
To be honest, I was just drawn to all ball sports from a young age. From the time I was a youngster, I remember having a cricket ball or bat all the time, or a soccer ball with me, or a rugby ball, but more soccer ball than a cricket ball. And yeah, just asking all my family who came to visit at any stage, to throw balls or to kick the ball along with me. And they have fond memories of that as well, of course. I think, my dad got me into cricket from a young age. I remember going to the nets quite a few times with him and hitting balls, bowling a bit, and that sort of thing. And I think I just got bitten from a young age, really. But yeah, really grateful to have been able to forge a career in cricket. It's not easy to be a professional athlete or cricketer, but I suppose it's really rewarding. At the end of the day, we get to do what we love and fulfill a passion and dreams. And I've been fortunate enough so far to represent our country, and yeah, it's been an incredible journey so far, and long may it continue.
Yes, long may it continue.
Indeed. Who would you say? So early on, you said you played a lot of cricket as a youngster. I read recently that your mother had a big influence on your career, taking you to different trials and things. She was quite she is still quite a big influence on your career and where you are today. Is that true?
Yeah, of course. I was brought up by a single parent. My dad passed away when I was 11 years old. So my mom and I are really close, of course, as you'd imagine. I mean, I was really lucky. I think I didn't really have some of the pressures that a lot of my peers had growing up from their parents. My mom was awesome. I mean, she'd literally just drop me off at the game. She'd bring her cooler box with food and water and juice and all the rest of it, and just watch, you know. And whether I'd done well or not done so well, it was the same response. So there was no real pressure on me or my game growing up, if that makes sense. I was really just left to figure it out for myself, to enjoy it, and that's what I tried my best to do, you know. So yeah, immensely grateful to my mom. I mean, the only pressure I got from her was on my academics and to finish to make sure I did well at school and to finish a degree. That's the only real expectation that I had, you know, growing up.
Well, that's actually very fascinating that you actually have a degree. Um, it leads me to my next question. When did you realize that cricket, you could make a career out of it? Because we know a lot of guys who come through the provincial structures and age group, and even some guys who make SA under 19 and those type of levels. Not all of them will actually get a career in cricket. When did you realize that was it? Did you have like a crossroads moment where you were like, okay, well, I know I have my degree, or I know I'm going this way, but it feels like I can actually make some money here and I want to go down this path?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I wasn't really contracted after school. I played. What was it? SA Colts. Played a bit of Cubs Week. And then I think I first class debuted for KZN Coastals. I think a month or two out of school. But I mean, I was just at the Dolphins Academy. The then head coach was Yash Ibrahim, who I had also worked with on a high performance basis through the Dolphins age group system. And yeah, he helped me a hell of a lot, and we had a great working relationship. And I mean, at that stage, the Dolphins pipeline was producing some really good cricketers that were being produced to play first-class cricket for the B team and the franchise. So I was really happy with that. I mean, I was grateful for that opportunity. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have a contract and I'm a semi-pro contract. And I was studying. So to be honest, for the first year or 2 years, I just said to myself that I was going to give it my best, do everything in my power to really nail down a spot, to do everything I can in the academy team to nail down a spot in the B side, and then hopefully something would open up at the Dolphins, because at that stage the Dolphins were quite a settled team. They'd just been through a rebuilding phase under Graham Ford, and they'd had a few guys that were established, and it didn't look like an easy team to break into. And to be honest, yeah, I think probably around 21, 22 is when maybe 2021 is when I only really started believing that I could actually make a career out of this. And I think I strung together a few more consistent performances thereafter, you know. So I'd missed the S under 19 boat. So I think when you miss that boat, that was almost a quicker way into the franchise system.
Yeah.
But I must say I'm really grateful for the then amateur system, because it was a great incubator for me in my cricket to just learn myself, my game, and to just put in those years to make sure that I was ready for franchise cricket when I did get my opportunity.
Yeah, I just want to ask a follow-up.
Yeah.
How hard was it being in that amateur system while being a student? Was there any pressures? Because obviously the amateur system isn't necessarily financially viable. So because there's obviously a lot of cricketers who are in your who were in your position, and chose to just let it go and focus. How did you, like, obviously you were in this incubator, you were in the system, but how hard was it while you were there, with all the external pressures? Because it's kind of easy to be like, you know what, I didn't make the under 19 boat, and yes, I'm still here. I love the game, but I there may not be something there. So how hard was it in that period?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. But I mean, I had good people around me, just telling me to hang in there and just produce numbers and put in performances, I feel, yeah, look, cricket is a statistics-driven game. That's just the reality of it. But statistics never say the full story. They don't say everything. Conditions vary, match situations vary, team dynamics vary. There's just too many variables, to just purely go on statistics. But I mean, yeah, I was just, I knew that at that stage I probably did a lot more batting than I did bowling. And I was still a proper opening batter, top four batter, and hardly bowled, to be honest, at that stage. And then, yeah, when I got the chance at franchise level, we didn't really have a left arm spin option because Kesh had gone up to the national team. And at that stage, we had MET as our spinner in 4-day cricket. And there were occasions where we needed double spin, So I think the opportunity presented itself, and over the years, my role has become more as a genuine all-rounder. So it's been a great journey, and I'm still learning, and I'm really enjoying the challenges that are coming my way,
That's awesome. That's really awesome to hear.
Talking about challenges, you did something that quite a lot of our cricketers do at a young age. You went over to the UK, played a fair amount of club cricket, both in the Birmingham League and the Lancashire League. So talk to us about that and how important that was to your overall development as a cricketer.
Yeah, that was, to be honest, it was more important for my development as a person as opposed to a cricketer, Tim. For me, it was my first time away from home and living on my own, and getting away from the nest here in Durban, to be honest. So my first season I was in the Birmingham League for a team called Brockhampton, which is based just out of Herefordshire, which is a small farming town, which is very different to Durban. So it was a bit of a challenge initially, just to settle in and to get used to those, just a smaller, just a smaller community, It's so that took a bit of getting used to and that sort of thing. But the cricket was great. It was awesome experiencing those conditions and just playing, with a different group of people and trying to see how they go about things. And of course, there's a different pressure when you're the overseas professional. 80% of the time, it's on you. With the bat, with the ball, you've got to find a way, to win games. And if you're not winning games, then you're not really doing your job. So in that sense, it was nice to see that side of it and experience it. And then the next time I went over was to a club called Ramsbottom in the Lancashire League. And that's also a fantastic club. I've really enjoyed my time there. And I've actually signed on again for the next season, for the upcoming winter, back at Ramsbottom. Wow. Yeah, so it was a really awesome experience there, and I always said that I'd love to go back, and then the opportunity did present itself this year. Of course, Darren Smith, we've had a lot of South Africans there. I mean, Darren Smith's been there, Peter Milan, George Linder was there recently, the year after me. So yeah, there's been a lot of guys that have gone over there and had a really good time, Again, it's a different challenge altogether up north in Lancashire. It's a lot more challenging conditions batting wise. The pitches are probably not as good as in the Birmingham League, where they get a lot more sun and it's a lot harder and truer wickets. But that as well, I mean, you've just got to find a way, with the bat.
Yes, and I remember your Test debut. You found a way with the bat in India, so maybe that helped too. But we'll go with that. My next question is: obviously, you spoke about that when you started, you were like a top order batter. How was the transition to being an all-rounder, bringing in that left-arm spin option? How did that come about? Was there like a conversation with the coach, or have you always just, had that in you? It's just now everyone is like, okay, at the net, bowl a few more, and it goes like that.
Yeah, I think throughout school, so I mean, from the age of 13 or so, I was just a batter and I bowled a bit of left-arm orthodox, as you do as a youngster. And then I think playing amateur cricket, I bowled a bit on debut and that sort of thing. And then for a few months, I didn't really bowl much, and was just proper concentrating on my batting. And then, yes, the opportunity presented itself again to be that all-rounder. And then the more I bowled, the more, it just bit me. I mean, I really enjoyed the challenges that it brought. And yeah, I've just enjoyed it since. Yeah, I think what I've learned from a batting perspective is that opening the batting has its challenges, and batting in the middle order has its challenges too, and it's just about finding a way to be consistent. So yeah, I'm still working on that and still trying to find a way. But again, I've enjoyed my new challenge, and it's been great so far, man. So basically it got really tough bowling in 4-day cricket, especially bowling a large volume of overs and then going out and opening the batting. I did it for a few seasons, and I just felt that over time and in the long run, it was something that was really tough to. It was becoming really tough to do. So it was a career decision that had to be taken. And yeah, so here we are.
Making a real nice niche for yourself. I think you're doing really well at the moment. Give us an idea of what life was like at the Dolphins, particularly in the last couple of years when you guys started to be really successful, picking up trophies. Just give us an idea of how things were there and why the Dolphins were and are successful unit.
Yeah, I think when Grant Morgan came in, the leadership and there were quite a few. The leadership changed, and there were a few changes in and around the squad. There was a bit more of a freshness to the unit, and he set a good foundation for us to be successful, or for the team to be successful for the next few years. I think the little disciplines that we had in place were really good, and it set a really good foundation going forward. Under him, we were quite successful in 50-over cricket. I think, I can't remember exactly. I think it's 3 Momentum Cups. I think it's 2 shared, or 1 rained out, 1 shared, and something like that.
Yeah,
and like then obviously
the Dolphins just found a way to share trophies. It's just it was just unfair. But
and then of course recently under Emmy, I think it's 2 Momentum Cups, if I'm not mistaken. It's 1 from the COVID era, and then 1 what it was last year was shared again in Poch, in the Potchefstroom bubble.
Yes.
And then of course T20, there was the final. Yeah, and then the 4-day was the cherry on top to cap off the franchise system, and that sort of thing was a little bit poetic. Also considering that we weren't really in the running, or we weren't favorites throughout the competition, if that makes sense, because we ended up having to win at the Wanderers. Then it was a must. We had to get a certain amount of bonus points in Port Elizabeth against the Warriors, and still make sure we won the game. To get into a final and then to secure a home final as well, which was pretty important. And yeah, it really just worked out nicely. I think that's I feel teams go through, in all sports, teams go through an ebb and a flow where you go through the rebuilding phase and then you go through a period of real success. I think in football, it's happening at the moment with Man United, where they went through an exceptional run of success under Sir Alex Ferguson, and since he's left, it's been really patchy. So I think it's just about finding that consistency again. And I mean, it's just Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool's time to dominate, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. It's a cycle. It's just like
Yes,
I support Arsenal, so my cycle's never coming to a title. I'm waiting for.
So is that the exception to the rule then?
And Tim supports Liverpool, so he waited years for his cycle to come around. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. It's good to see. I think I think let's move into the domestic team and then we'll go into the national towards the back end. So after that successful season, obviously there were a lot of spinners in at the Dolphins. But you were a mainstay in the side. You even batted at the top board in the limited over side. What made you move to the Northwest at the beginning of the year? It was a great move for the Dragons. Like I was like, that's a coup, massive coup, because I think you're one of the most underrated all-rounders in the country. But why? What made you leave the success? Because trophies are in Durban right now, and to come to the land of bouncy wickets, actually, because I think Poch is quite a lot of bounce.
Yeah, so again, it was to develop further. I feel that I wanted to learn further my skill, my batting and my bowling skills in probably not so friendly spin conditions in the high felt. I feel that if I can leave a better bowler, whenever that is, and a better batter, then I've got what I wanted to. And of course, win a few trophies with the Dragons. And I think the guys that have joined the Dragons from the Lions have also been successful at the Lions. They've won trophies. They know how to win. So in that regard, so that was one of the reasons I chose to join the Northwest team. I felt like the team has guys that know how to win games of cricket and know how to win trophies. And I think we'd had a good start with the T20 stuff, considering the amount of injuries we had and the way it went down. And I mean, on another day, we would have been in a final, And then of course, just the way 4-day cricket's unfolded, we've just probably not been good enough, to be honest, in all three departments. But hopefully we can build and we can get better, in 4-day cricket. But yeah, I think for me it was just a new challenge, a clear role throughout, as well as playing all three formats. I wasn't a consistent fixture in all three formats for the Dolphins. I played a handful of T20 games over the last 4 or 5 years, and I felt that going to the Northwest coaching staff and leadership group had stated that I would be backed in T20 cricket, and I think that format is essential for my development in the game going forward as well. And I mean I've enjoyed it so far. So yeah, and I mean they've backed me with. I mean Nikki was injured during the T20s and Norna was injured as well, and they trusted me with the captaincy as well during the knockout stage. During the group stages of the T20 competition. So yeah, I've been really grateful for that, and it's been a great journey so far. Of course, it comes with its challenges, as with everything, but it's been good so far.
That's good to hear, because I think the Northwest is a really good group of guys. Tim's a fan of Wesley Marshall. I've always been a fan of Wesley Marshall, and we think he should be in and around that SAA group because we think he's an X Factor player. And we saw that in that T20 tournament. So I really love the group of guys that you guys have. And it's just moments in that 4-day where you're like, okay, the longer the format comes in, you need a little bit more concentration. And you're coming against some very strong sides. So and as you said, it's phases. This is like a rebuild. It's a new franchise. It's a new province, and I was grateful that they actually got that whole. They were one of the two CSA provinces that actually were added onto. So look, it's 2 years. Next year probably will be better. But you guys haven't disappointed entirely. It's been pretty good to watch in parts, but like really enjoyed the way you guys play your cricket. It's refreshing because I think Poch is just a beautiful place to play cricket, and it's just they've got a really great group of guys.
Yeah, it's an awesome facility. It's a high performance facility. At the end of the day, I mean, international teams come down and use it. County teams come down and use the cricket facilities in the winter, of course, before COVID. And there's always international athletes in and around the gym and the high performance center just on the other side of the university. So it's an awesome. I mean, it's an institute. It's a sport institute. And hopefully we can just find a way in 4-day cricket. And like you say, it's a new team. It's a bunch of guys that have never really played together. We've just stuck together. 16 guys, maybe 20 guys. I think we've probably used 20 or 22 guys. We've used a couple of youngsters this season. So guys have been getting opportunities. Guys in and around the squad with COVID and injuries and all the rest of it. So hopefully we can really find a way to play better cricket as a unit, better 4-day cricket as a unit, and then really just build on that on our white ball cricket as well.
Indeed. Yeah, you just took the question that I was going to ask out when you referenced the fact that you were not playing that much white ball cricket for the Dolphins. I was just going to ask you whether that was an area of concern for you, that you wanted to play. Which format would you like to play more? Do you have a preference between the 4-day stuff and the T20s, or is there a particular, or do you want to be all format cricketer?
I did play white ball cricket for the Dolphins. I played a lot of 50-over cricket for the Dolphins. I just didn't play very much T20 cricket. And that was one of the reasons I felt like I could still add value in T20 cricket. And that's when Northwest had come in and said that, of course I would get back in that format. I think 4-day cricket is the toughest format, that's for sure. Or red ball cricket is the toughest format. And although that being said, I think 50-over cricket and T20 cricket comes with its own challenges. My favorite format is probably 50-over cricket. I think it has a little bit of everything throughout the game. I mean, there's always a rebuilding phase, and there's always a chance to use 4-day skills, as well as a chance to use T20 skills throughout a 50-over game. So I think it's a little bit of all formats mixed in. But I really think that I can add a lot of value in T20 cricket with a bat, with a ball, and in the field. I look forward to the future and what it holds.
Yeah, look, we've got an MSL coming up, and with the Dragons being part of the 8 teams, we'll sing you again in a T20 competition. So, because I enjoyed watching you play in Kimberley. That I think you scored 62 in one of the games, took 3 wickets in the other, helping the team out. And I think that's where T20 kind of works for a player with your skill set. Good with the bat, good with the ball, and you have that ability to be able to be one of the game changers. And I think the Dragons could have something to say in that MSL in February. Looking at your obviously your ambitions, your career ambitions as a national cricketer. Obviously, you went on the spin camp, then you got onto the national team on that tour to India, and you made your debut in Visakhapatnam, which is a very beautiful stadium in India. When you found out, I don't know, like take us through the moments when you found out. Was it the day before? Was it on the day? Did you have a chance to call home? What were the emotions around that moment when they said, Senuran, you're up?
Yeah, it was awesome. I'd been on 2 A series tours to India and 2 spin camps as well before that. So I had a good sense of conditions, a good sense of what to expect. Yeah, and that sort of thing. Of course, nothing can prepare you for a test debut. But I mean, you know, the whole dynamic of it. There's always going to be the nerves and all the rest of it. But I think I'd prepared as well as I could. And yeah, it was the day before the game. The guys, the coach and captain had a look at the surface we were playing on, and it was really bare. So they felt that there was a good chance of us going with 3 spin options, being myself, Kirsch, and Dane Pete. And then I would obviously play as an all-rounder, and then 2 frontline spinners. So yeah, it was basically the day before. The coach just came up to me and said, make sure you're prepared to play. There's a good chance that you could play tomorrow. Where it was not, it wasn't always the case, or it didn't always seem the case that I would play, just because Dane and Kesh are obviously senior spinners and they're genuine spin options, and a guy like Vernon at the time could have done the role of an all-rounder. So yeah, no, it was conditions based. They felt that would really spin. So yeah, that's I got a crack, and yeah, it was enjoyable. I think looking back, I feel I was ready with the bat, maybe not so ready from a bowling perspective. I think in the last 2.5 years, I've learned a hell of a lot. Just having bowled a lot more, as well, not bowled a lot more, but having bowled more. And I've really had a chance to really hone the skill. So yeah, I'm wiser for the experience, that's for sure.
People who might need a reminder, on that debut, you were not out in both innings. You made 33 not out and 49 not out in arguably the most difficult place to play cricket.
Yeah.
So, did you enjoy batting in those conditions? Or not so much?
I just have a question, because you're batting with Kagiso at the end and you're like in the 40s. What did you try to tell Kagiso? Because obviously you'd want the 50 on debut, but like, were you trying to be like, dude, like get me to the other end, like please? How was that conversation as you were getting to 49?
Yeah, to be honest, I was still in the mindset of just trying to do my best to save the game and that sort of thing, and to just stay in a bit of a bubble. I wasn't too concerned, to be honest, about, I mean, looking back, 50 would have been great on debut, but I wasn't too concerned at the time by it. Yeah, I can't really remember how it went down, but I think KG ended up just nicking one to the keeper. But yeah, I was really, I mean, I think I still feel that we really had a chance to save that game. I think we lost 6 wickets or something on the final. We took it to the 5th day, and I think we lost 6 wickets or something in the morning session, or something like that, man. And I mean, it obviously day 5 in India is going to be tough. Although we fought really hard throughout that game to stay in the game and to at least get a draw. Yeah, it was just one of those things, really.
Yeah, so looking at that game, South Africa actually lost 8 wickets for 26 overs, and then the next wicket to fall, and you were there with Dane Pete and Kagiso. The next wicket to fall was at over 59, so you batted for around about close to 23 overs then. So it was pretty tough on that day, but it was that looked like more of a memorable debut to everyone else who was watching, because I'm a fan of South Africa going spin heavy when the conditions warranted. Even in South Africa, I think I'm a fan of it going spin heavy. And that leads me to my next question. Obviously, looking at domestic cricket, how you've been in the setup for a while, how are the views from a playing perspective, a playing style in South Africa around spinners, especially in the 4-day game, but most importantly, obviously in the 50 over game? Because my belief is in limited overs cricket, regardless of where you're playing in the world, you should always have 2 spinners. It kind of gives your bowling a little bit more balance and also makes batsmen think, especially with the way 50 over cricket is going. You can actually use your spinners to hold the game in the middle overs. Also in 4-day cricket and in longer cricket, one spinner is always a prerequisite for me. Like this thing of going all pace just bothers me a lot. But in domestic cricket, there's always, the way it seems like in domestic cricket, there's always a spinner. But like in national cricket, everyone's willing to just give the spinner the smaller role. How do you see that since you've been on the ground?
Yeah, look, at the Dolphins, we had a lot of success because there were 3 of us, or at least 2 of us if Kesh was away. So we always had myself, Kesh, Pranellan, and we built a lot of success, especially in white ball cricket, around that. Look, in international cricket, I think it's a tough one, because South Africa probably has this identity, or their I don't know how to say it, but it's probably known for being seam-friendly, bouncy wicket pitches. I think when you go around the world, people say South Africa is probably the toughest place to bat, or one of the toughest places to bat, because there's always something for the seamers on offer. I think with the way cricket's gone the last few years, I think a lot of venues around the country have become more sprint-friendly because the wickets have just been a bit more tired. So they don't have the same pace, they don't have the same bounce, and it's not quite the same. So I don't think it's the same conditions as it probably was 10 years ago. I'm not sure if that's a fair statement, but I feel that, like you say, almost every franchise team plays 1 or 2 spinners, but when it goes to franchise cricket, we're only playing 1. I also think it's opposition dependent as well. I feel some teams do probably play seam slightly better than others, and I mean, you're not going to really play 2 spinners at the Wanderers, for example, in a test match. I don't think that South Africa would do that. To be honest, I just don't think that would be an option. But yeah, I personally feel that there is a lot of scope for spin, and I mean, spinners are dominating T20 cricket. I think 7 or 8 out of the top 10 are all spinners.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, and it's probably something similar in 50 over cricket as well. And I think
the Rashid and the Emmys back in the day, they used to dominate cricket.
So I feel the role of a spinner changes from the first innings to the second innings. The fourth innings a lot of the time. And I feel if the spinner's good enough, the spinner normally finds a way to do a containing job, or bowling or helping bowl the opposition out. And I think there's a good amount of spin bowlers that have presented themselves in South Africa across the board in all 3 formats.
That's very true. That is very true.
We do have quite a lot of spinners. That is very true. Okay, about yourself though. They often say that spinners come into their own after the age of 28, sort of 28 to sort of 31, 32, which, if true, that would mean you'll be going into your prime as a spinner. Do you feel you're in a good space now to, if the opportunity came to come back into the Protea side, if the opportunity knocked, are you much more settled as a spinner in your career now?
Yeah, most certainly. I'm definitely not the same bowler I was 2.5 years ago. Um, and yeah, I agree with with that statement, Tim. I mean, there's no reason why you can't um, get into your prime earlier. But I do feel that from 28 onwards or 29 onwards or whatever it is, you do just pick up things a lot quicker. You do learn. You do just. I think you know yourself better. You know how to rectify things better. Um, and yeah, that sort of thing. I do agree with that.
Yeah, we had Robin Peterson on here, and when we spoke to him about asked him about his debut, he thought he was a couple of years too early. Even though he did appreciate the opportunity, he kind of felt that he came into his own a lot later as a spinner. So yeah, and it's like goalkeeping. You know, goalkeepers into their prime, late 20s, going into their 30s, and that's when you see the greats come through. And it's the same thing with spin bowling. We saw that with Imi as well. And we're seeing that with Kesh right now as well. So, Senuran, you've been in around the Proteas setup, the SAA setup for a while. There, as you mentioned, there were a lot of spinners in and around there doing their thing, also getting their opportunities and everything else. Do you know what have you had chats with the selectors or, to discuss where you fit in all of this? Because it feels obviously there are spinners and around, but you are like number 3 in there in and around. And obviously you're in the SAA setup. You've been on the SAA tour even earlier this year with Zimbabwe. Have they kind of given you guidance as to what needs to happen to get you up there back into the setup? Because I'm sure you don't want to just have 2 test matches to your name. I'm sure you want a little bit more and probably play in the other formats as well.
Yeah, most certainly. Of course, I want to add to those 2 tests, and I do want to break into 50 over cricket and eventually, hopefully, put in performances in domestic cricket, and then really knock on the T20 door as well. Yeah, look, I think obviously I was in the SAA team to Zim, and then again the incoming tour against India A now recently. And yeah, I suppose it's just about putting numbers on the board, really, taking the wickets, scoring the runs, and contributing and winning games of cricket and winning trophies. I think that's all you can do in domestic cricket, really, to keep knocking and breaking down the door. So yeah, that is the main. I mean, the real focus. You know, to just do the best I can in whichever team I play for, whether it's the A team, the Northwest Dragons, for now, and then hopefully break back into the international setup again.
And that's very true. Are you looking more from a bowling perspective, or is it more like a batting perspective where you think you can knock the door down, or do you just want to come around as an all-round package when the selectors look at you?
Yeah, I think as an all-rounder, Mpho, to really get in the team as a bowling option and to get in the team as a frontline batter, I think that's the value I can add.
And we need that. We need that all-rounder who can be a frontline batter, because balance has been the question for the Protea side across all 3 formats. And so somebody with your skill set is really more than welcome. And I think if you add up the performances, you can give the selectors a lot more headaches, which is a good thing.
Of course.
Just finally from me, give us a viewpoint of India. You saw you bowled against Fahari and Panchal in the last A game. They're both being picked up by the Indian senior side. So yeah, how was that series? I know you only played the 1 game, but how was that, and what are your overall thoughts of them at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it was played on quite a placid pitch, or a placid square in Bloem. So it's a tough one. I think, to be honest with you, whoever plays for India, to just get there is an incredible achievement. I mean, they've got 1 billion people. I don't know, a few 100 million. You're competing with a few 100 million to play. And then in the domestic scene, I think they've got over 35 first-class teams or something like that. So, I mean, Vihari and Panchal have done well in franchise cricket. Domestic cricket. Panchal has done really well in domestic cricket, and he's done well in A-team cricket, and now gotten a crack into the main squad. And then Vihari's obviously done well for India, and then I think he's only played one Test series in India, if I'm not mistaken, and the rest of it has been in the West Indies, in England, and in Australia, where he's actually held his own as well. So I think he's someone that has probably got the ability to do well away from India as well, and he's just one of their young. He's an old school cricketer, if I can put it that way. He's not one of the new IPL T20 branded cricketers, if that makes sense. He's a solid, probably middle order batter for them. But yeah, like I was saying, I mean, it'll be a great series. I'm looking forward to watching the series. It's two really good cricketing teams going toe to toe, and of course, India have had recent success away from home, and I think they've transformed their cricket away from home, which was always the question mark against their names, really. So yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome series, and I really hope South Africa come out on top.
Yeah, we hope so too. Yeah, this is India's final frontier, so this is the last place they need to conquer in the world. So that's quite exciting to see if they can do it. And yeah, it was really awesome that the India had a tour. We're going to be airing an interview, I think, next week with an Indian journalist, and I think India A in 1 year played, I think, 24 tests. Or not 24, like for the past 3 years they played like 24 tests, which is it's an insane amount of cricket for that group, and that group's been together for 4 years. Like, they can't break into that side, it's like that good, and they just like travel, and so it just gives a context, as to obviously where South Africa is and where they are. We're still in that rebuild. They're trying to conquer everything. And yeah, it's going to be quite fun to see. Senuran, that brings us to the end of our show and our conversation. Really have loved chatting to you. I want to wish you all the best for the domestic season, and we hope for international call-ups in the coming year, and for you to just get given an opportunity at that national setup. I think you present a lot of a skill set that is needed. And yeah, I do hope that your season at Northwest becomes better. Obviously, 4 days ending now, you've got 3 games to go, but you still got 50 overs. You've still got that MSL. So wish you and the team, and obviously for your career, all the best. And we look forward to seeing you singing that national anthem again, because you're a really great guy, and want the best for you.
Thank you kindly, Mpho. Thanks, Tim. Thanks again for having me on your show. It was great spending the time with you and just chatting and conversing. Thank you kindly.
Sure. Have a great week. Have a great Christmas and a New Year's. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thanks. The same to you. Go well.
Cheers.
Tim, MVP. Another good interview in the bag. Well done, Tim. Thank you very much for reaching out. He's a really lovely guy. And yeah, look, our spin cupboard is bursting at the seams, guys.
We're doing well. We're doing well in the spin department. We're doing well in the spin department.
Yeah, and obviously he's up here in the Northwest, and so really do hope that he gets a lot of success. So Tim, next week, just to give our fans what we're going to be doing, we've obviously got an interview previewing the India series that we're going to air on Monday, and then on top of that, we'll probably do something around the SJN. We're still reading the interim report, and we'll probably, in our own preview to the India series, just talk about that and the implications. There might be some news that percolate over the weekend and coming into the new week. regarding that. And so we'll be discussing that maybe midweek sometime next week. But Tim, thank you very much, my friend. Have a lovely day, and to the viewers and the listeners, thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. Please do let everyone know that the Full Quota podcast is here. We've got some great interviews. We serve cricket. We serve you. And let us know what you'd like to see. If there are any other guys that you want Tim to try and knock down on the DMs, and then we'll do so. But yeah, just thank you very much for your followership. And Tim, thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye, everyone. And good night. Lesale. Kakahiso.